Las Vegas. I think $17,000 for a rattlesnake bite is a little high, too. But that's what they charge.
The way it is.
I didn't think it, I mean, I thought it at the time, but, you know, they waived the cost, by the way, as their donation to the ranch. Mm-hmm. But that's what it costs. And nobody cares because it's all covered by insurance. But the governor of the state of New Mexico, Bill Richardson, has been to the ranch when the kids from New Mexico were here. The state of New Mexico gave $100,000 to the ranch to the University of New Mexico so they can screen and recruit kids from New Mexico to come here, which we've had a lot of them. Doctors from the University of New Mexico, Dr. Stuart Winter, Dr. Aaron Jacobs, have both been here. Dr. Jacobs was just here for this last session. I mean, if you want to know what's going on, ask them. I mean, you have a right to ask us. I'm happy to answer them. Don't believe me. I'm not offended by having to answer them. And if I were the state of New Mexico, I'd ask them too. I mean, it's here in New Mexico. Of course you should ask. As far as the assessment by the San Miguel tax assessor, I think that's wrong. And I think I took bad advice from the McClarty and Silver, the lawyers who represent the ranch, and will continue to. But they negotiated an agreement with them, which back in 2000, which was idiotic. I mean, there's no personal use of this ranch at any time, 365 days a year. Kids are not here, but they can't be here. I mean, because they're in school. But we're a cattle ranch, but we don't sell the cattle for profit. We don't eat them or anything. Oh, no, come on. Anyway, and on top of all of that, I just want to reiterate, I appreciate your support. I know I have millions of people around the country who love me, and I don't blame you, by the way. Your affection is justified. What do you think, Charles?
Yeah, of course.
But don't call the Wall Street Journal about anything having to do with this case and threaten them. And don't threaten Robert Frank. That's repulsive. And I know something about death threats. It's not funny. And don't threaten him. He did a dishonest thing, and it's a disgraceful story. And obviously they have some agenda. If it's my screaming about autism and thimerosal, I'm not going to stop. So, but that doesn't mean he should be threatened.
Don't be that juvenile in your reaction.
And to their credit, the Wall Street Journal printed 4 enormously supportive letters this morning, beginning with Hamilton Jordan's letter. Mr. Jordan, having endured 4 bouts of cancer, he and his wife founded the Sunshine Camp in Atlanta, in which their kids have been here. And he's a former, unfortunately, chief of staff to Jimmy Carter. But if you want to find out what the ranch is about, he's been here. He's here for 10 days with the kids. So go to either get a copy of the Wall Street Journal or go to the Wall Street Journal website. Same with the New York Daily News. An article from David Hinckley who knows something about me and about this ranch. And you can go to nydailynews.com. But don't threaten Mr. Frank. We'll take care of him. That's why I retained David Boies, and Mr. Boies can handle it, and I can handle the rest of it.
Proper channels.
In a legal, dignified, respectful manner, not the way they treated me. So I'm the wrong person to treat unfairly. 27 after the hour. The wide load is here. Road flare.
Yeah.
Big guy.
Double lane. What's up with that dude?
Double what, Charles?
Double lane.
Double lane.
He's here.
With the sports report sponsored by Peerless Boilers. They make America's best boiler.
Boiler boy.
You know, I do nothing but love. Do I mention that your mug looks like a topographical map of New Mexico? No.
Hey, by the way, dumpster butt.
Yes.
Who's ahead in the pool?
You're about to see it, by the way.
Who's ahead in the pool at the radio station?
That must be you, if I'm not mistaken.
No, but who really is ahead?
I honestly don't know. Mark Malusis, who's running the pool, is not in yet, so those standings should be up in
Do you know, Lou?
an hour.
You know who was up there last week? Francesa was up there in the top.
Oh, really?
Take that. Question in my
Now what, Bernie?
I haven't seen his name up there in quite
Now
some
what,
time.
Bernie?
I guess it must be really cold down there in hell, huh?
Why?
Hell must have frozen over, but I guarantee he's not going to win the whole thing.
Couldn't believe
I mean,
it.
he's never been up there before.
Mike Francesa.
I mean,
no.
After all these years,
Oh, no, here you go.
16 years,
Yeah?
he was up there. So he was up there temporarily last week. Whoop-de-damn-do. Let's see who wins the whole thing.
Oh, well, this is, Charles, are you hearing this?
Well, he's right. Let's see which secretary
yeah.
or clerk or whatever, clerical worker, wins the thing.
I was up there early on myself.
Oh, you two are disgraceful slugs. You know better than Robert Frank.
That's the way it's going to happen. You've seen it too many times yourself.
So what? He
Why are
looks
you
out.
squeaking like a mouse, Charles?
Yes. I'm squeaking for emphasis.
It's not coincidence that he's up there because he knows what he's talking about.
That's right. He is the man.
You are a butt kisser.
Mike Francesa
Continent.
is the sports.
How about that episode last week with Bobby Knight?
What?
The episode last week with Bobby Knight.
What about it?
What episode?
Yeah, you don't know it because the sycophant continent over here probably hasn't seen his little peninsula in 10 years. He's just too afraid to bring it up.
What happened, Continent?
They had him on. I didn't see when they had him on. What incident are you actually
Wait, do you read the
talking
papers?
about? Yes, I
Chris?
do. I do. And they.
Okay, well,
I guess
listen.
they said they
Bobby,
soft-talked
here's
him a
what
little
happened.
bit, but I don't
You
think
guessed.
that's the case.
Okay, then
I
I'll
didn't see it.
I'll
Why don't
apprise
you be
the
quiet
man.
and let Bernie talk, fatso? Go ahead, Bernie.
Take a bite while I speak up.
Yeah.
Apparently,
Another egg muffin.
Bobby Knight won some game last week, and he took a gratuitous shot at the coach of Indiana right now, and they apparently have had a miserable record since he left the past 2 years. And on the show,
On what show?
on Mike and the Mad Dog's program,
Right.
they criticized Mr. Knight for making these comments.
Right.
Then he came on the program subsequent to those comments, and they never even alluded to the topic. They never questioned him on it whatsoever. It was journalistic fellatio, basically. Back if 69 is what it was.
Well, who said that?
Who said what?
Bernie said that.
No, I'm saying that they never asked him about the comments
Well,
and
you
how
have an agenda
and how classless the comments were at that point. Instead, they just talked college basketball and basically stroked him for 25 minutes or however long it was.
But did anybody else make that observation? Sure, maybe.
It was all over the newspapers, Raceman and Daily News, New York Post.
What did
Everybody.
they say?
Just what I said.
That Fatso and Fruit Loops rolled over like a
Rolled
couple
over.
of fat seals?
That's right.
Well, so be it.
Like a couple of pussies.
That's the opening bell of the New York Stock Exchange, sponsored by Lebenthal. Stocks for bond buyers, bonds for stock buyers.
A couple of gutless pussies.
You know what?
Wow.
And of course,
We'll see you. Yeah, we'll
and
see
of
where
course,
you start.
Continent in there. What? I didn't hear. No, what's this?
I did not hear the interview. I didn't see the comments in the paper, but I'll say this. I have never once, and I produced the show for 6-7 years, never once
Four
seen
shows,
them roll
6
over.
or 7.
7 years.
Yeah.
6.5 years.
Okay.
Never once seen them roll over for anybody.
Well, they rolled over Bob Knight, apparently.
Well, I didn't see it, so I'm not going to say they
They've
did.
done it countless times. They've been accused of it. It's been documented. Of course, who knows off the top of their heads because nobody keeps that much track of it. I don't. But here's a perfect example over the weekend.
Yeah, but you have an agenda against
Exactly.
Mike
I have
Francesa
no
for
agenda.
some reason.
I have an
And
agenda.
Mad Dog. My friends.
I would like to point out that, they'll come in later and Bernie will be nowhere to be found.
I'm not what to be found. Let them go after the people in the Daily News and the New York
Go
Post.
right up to Mike's face and say, hey, you rolled over for him. What's that all about?
I don't really care that much.
Wow,
it only
apparently you do. You made a
now you don't.
5-minute
It matters.
All of a sudden, now you don't care?
No, I care in so much as the fatso one is afraid to report it.
I got 3 words. Wimpy, little, a biatch.
I wouldn't be calling anybody.
I got 3 words. Wimpy, huge biatch. And that would be you for not bringing this up.
I wouldn't be calling anybody names, Bernie, if in fact you're afraid to confront Mike and Chris about this.
I'm not going to...
Exactamundo, cowboy.
Listen, it has nothing. There's nothing personal. It's all professional. It's all over-the-air business type stuff. The bottom line is, gutless pussies.
Oh, my God. Nothing personal.
Will you call that to Francesa's face?
Absolutely.
You will.
Okay. Can you picture that confrontation?
Oh, yeah. Somebody get me the video camera.
Yeah. Mike, good afternoon, you gutless P.
Yeah.
Come here, pig boat. I got something to say to you.
Yeah.
Listen here, fatso.
That's how it's going to go down.
Maybe we could get Mike on the phone. You could say this to him on the phone.
Why do you want to
That's a hell of
stir?
an idea.
How about that, Bernie? Why do I want to what?
Listen, why do you want to stir things up?
You are.
If he had any balls, he'd phone in right now.
Hey, listen, we've been gutless before. We're gutless P's. That's all there is to it.
You must know he's someplace else, or you wouldn't even be saying that.
Gutless pussy.
I know.
Really are.
I know he's not at the gym.
Oh, that line's going to start flashing any minute. It's got to.
Ah,
She was walking down the street,
yeah, look at that.
looking proud as she could be.
What was she doing, baby?
Hey, hey.
Yeah,
Well, she was walking down the street, looking fine as she could be.
Hey, hey.
his beautiful wife, and
Yeah.
that will be April 8th,
So she calls herself Susie Welch now, you know.
like a good woman should.
Sure, that's nice. I like
Yeah,
that.
that's
Yeah,
nice.
I saw
knows
a
the place.
I saw a cover of the book.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
book is, they're out together.
Coughing again, Charles.
Oh, I couldn't see you. I had no idea what was going on. I
Called
thought you
Winning
died.
by Jack Welch, and then it says with Susie Welch in smaller typeface.
Yeah, well, as appropriate again. Sure.
So
Yeah,
I knew I liked Jack Welch for a reason.
absolutely.
why she wouldn't get equal billing on the book, that's what will be my first question.
She's the
Why
one.
did you decide to make her name smaller than yours?
Oh, come on. It should be obvious.
Well, he was worth about $100 million when they met, and she was making $277 grand a year. You do the math.
Right.
He's worth more than $100 million. He's worth $1 billion.
Whatever.
You see, you.
Well,
you,
there's a difference.
You get the point.
Right. You established the font size.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, man. Wake up.
They're actually out talking about the romance.
Oh, they are.
Oh, yeah.
Where are where?
Well, they're going to be, excuse me, on 60 Minutes Wednesday.
Yeah.
Talking about, Jack says he understands how it could have been viewed as scandalous. He was married, and you know.
But she's been around more times than a drum and a clothes
Now
dryer.
wait a second. She's a woman with 4 children.
Yeah.
Who was separated at the time.
Yeah.
He was married, and apparently there was some strife in his marriage.
Sure. And they were drunk at the 21 Club, and he was licking on her at 4:30 in the afternoon.
That's about it.
Well, they had a romantic afternoon that blossomed into a beautiful love affair.
And when she was supposed to be interviewing him for the Harvard Business Review.
Yeah.
He admits sparks flew. That's a quote.
There you go.
Was that him or O'Brien? Who's looking on her?
Well, but he did say to her at that lunch,
You're so hot.
Let's get some Coke.
And crazy.
get a hooker,
Yeah.
go upstairs.
No, she's not exactly,
Well, they're doing all these interviews before they come on with me. Did I agree to that? I must have.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they'll be in live with the I-Man.
Well, what did they both do it dead for 60 minutes? They're live there, too.
Well, I think that's on tape.
Well, yes, but it's before they appear here.
Well, that's right. You did agree to that. That's absolutely correct.
Isn't he on the cover of Newsweek?
He's on the cover of Newsweek.
It was all over the place.
Yeah. That's fine.
He's the man.
Yep.
A big book party coming up this Wednesday.
Beautiful. I love Mr.
I got my invitation.
There you go.
I didn't receive one.
I wonder why.
I don't know. Wouldn't go, but I don't go to book parties. I stumbled into that Joseph Abboud book party when I thought it was a book signing. I didn't realize it.
Yeah, you participated fully in that.
I had a bunch of
Come
people
on.
with pink leg warmers standing around the Time Warner building in the center there.
You were right there. Come on.
It's not whatever it's called. There at Columbus Circle. That was ugly. Ugly situation.
You were in the canapes and designer water, please. Come on.
Eating cheese
Sure.
on a toothpick.
That's a vicious lie. So that's what that is.
Acting like an old homo.
We know.
Who, Abboud? Or me?
You.
Playing the
You
part.
playing the part.
You really. 17 till the hour. Here in the Imus-March program. Well, anything else going on, Charles? Give me an update on the
All right,
Terry
well,
Schiavo case.
Well, the Terry Schiavo case remains exactly where it is, except there is another possible nasty legal battle brewing between the husband and Terry's family. Husband Michael Schiavo has court-approved plans to cremate her after she dies and bury the ashes in Philadelphia, where they met. Her parents want a Roman Catholic funeral service and burial near their home in Florida so they can visit her grave, and they accuse Michael of trying to, quote, cover up evidence by cremating her, evidence that caused her brain damage. They allege that Michael Schiavo caused the wife's brain damage by abusing and strangling her. Doctors have ruled that a chemical imbalance brought on by an eating disorder caused Terry Schiavo to suffer the heart attack years ago, which cut off oxygen to her brain, and in the meantime she has received communion and last rites. And the parents have apparently given up. Well, there are no legal options left.
No.
Nonetheless, some supporters will be in Washington today demanding further action from the Congress and President Bush. Pope John Paul II tried to speak to worshipers during Easter services yesterday, eventually gave up, performed a silent blessing, and he failed to make a scheduled appearance at his window today. That is a tradition that he does post-Easter.
Another situation that needs some looking into, by the way.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, poor old Pope, I mean, it's horrible.
Well,
shoving him out there, and
I'm sure he wanted to go.
well, I'm sure he did too.
I'm sure he wanted to. I mean, there were thousands and thousands of people in
He did not disappoint.
St. Peter's
I
Square.
mean, the guy's a living saint.
Absolutely. And
I hope he's not being manipulated by those people at the Vatican. So.
No. He's the man as a pillar of strength and courage.
And sharp as a tack. Mind fully intact, sound mind, which is more than we can say of the Iron Man.
And dragged around, which is
Dragged around, yeah.
And dragged around there like, Weekend at Bernie's deal. It's just horrible.
Well, I don't think it's that at
Oh,
all.
I just hope not.
I don't think so.
Why isn't anybody taking the microphone away from you like they took it away from him yesterday?
Quarter to the hour. You're such a jerk. One more brief look at sports from Warehouse, but here's Mickey Thomas when he was with Elvin Bishop. Then the tradition of the Bad News Bears and Hoops.
Stores only. Limit one per visit. Some exclusions apply. See store or HomeDepot.com for details.
What happened to you? You look different. Consultation online at diamondvision.org or call 1-800-984-2020. That's 1-800-984-2020. Also take advantage of their exclusive 24-month free financing. Call 1-800-984-2020. That's 1-800-984-2020. What was that miracle again?
The Diamond Vision Miracle.
Call 1-800-984-2020.
We all have tricks to get going on Monday morning. I've heard hide your alarm clock or go to bed 3 hours earlier on Sunday.
I'm no pictures.
Sports Radio 66. WFAN. Life in the Meadows.
So what do I hear now? The commissioner was driving. Reese flunks out in school. Can Malcolm help him make the grade? Get it on UPN 9 at a brand new time, weeknights at 6:30. With reports every 20 minutes, this is John Minko, WFAN 2020 Sports.
Get all your Mets and Yankees spring training news from Ed Coleman and Sweeney Murdy on the only station that covers our baseball teams all year round. The Fan, Sports Radio 66, WFAN New York.
And now, a few words from your Grey Goose bartender.
All right, football fans, get ready for the upcoming
5045 in Central Park. I'm Tracy Burgess with the Toyota Fan Highway Patrol.
7 minutes till the hour here on the I'm Still Morning program. Tracy Burgess in our New York studio. And is that a true story about the tomato truck yesterday?
Apparently so. It did not come up as a bulletin on my screen. That's how we get traffic.
Because Bo Dietl said that Al Tomatoes was off, or took half a day off or something on Monday, right, Charles?
Right.
And that that another tomato truck with a bunch of tomatoes tried to get into New York and had an unfortunate accident where, Tracy? In the Triborough?
Apparently on the Throgsneck Bridge.
On the Throgsneck.
Right.
Tried to run the gauntlet and didn't make it.
But, whenever there's a story involving food, I always expect some action on Chris Carlin's part. And
Well, let's not just go out of our way to do a fat joke. Not with your resume, Tracy.
No, this was fruit and maybe a vegetable, so he's not involved.
I'm sorry. Thanks, Bernardo.
But the point is, the implication was that Al Tomatoes was somehow took exception to somebody else with a truck of tomatoes trying to come into New York, and something icky happened to him there on the Throngs Necks.
Outrageous.
Well, what happened to the truck?
Apparently, the truck had a tomato spill. There was a tomato incident, and there was some fruit on the roadway.
Well, what precipitated the spill? What caused the spill?
We had some terrible weather conditions yesterday in the New York metropolitan area. There were wind conditions. The bridges.
Wasn't Vinny and Tony, was it? Yeah.
They might have been out there, pushing it off to the side of the road.
How are things, by the way, at your house?
My house, they're fine. I do need a plastic surgeon, though. That's my quest this morning.
Well, Dr. Lloyd Hoffman is probably the best in the world.
It's the only one.
Lloyd.
Why would you?
Do you really want to know? I have a stretched out hole.
What?
Oh. I do. My earring.
Oh, your earring.
Right.
Oh, you are such a tramp.
Jesus asked me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste.
Yeah.
I've been around for a long, long year. Stole many a man's soul of faith. I was around when Jesus Christ had his moment of doubt and pain. Made damn sure the pilot washed his hands and sealed his face. Pleased to meet you. Hope you guessed my name. Imus in the morning.
I wish I'd tried this breakfast sandwich earlier.
Alberto Gonzalez just ahead. It's time for a little more news now with Contessa Brewer and Charles McCorden. I think Chuck's first. Charles?
Major setback for Michael Jackson's defense. A judge has ruled the jury will be able to hear former allegations of abuse against Jackson. District Attorney Tom Sneddon says testimony about cases involving 5 other boys will prove that Jackson has demonstrated a pattern of abuse. The prosecution says the incidents occurred 12 to 15 years ago, and only one of these boys, and boys then certainly, men now probably, has agreed to testify at Jackson's trial.
Right.
Yesterday, the comedian George Lopez took the stand to testify that the accuser's father is more interested in money than actually helping his son. Lopez says he broke off contact with the family after the boy's father falsely accused him taking money out of his wallet of stealing $300 and says that was enough for him.
A surprising
How
development.
did he get involved with him in the first place?
He appeared, I think, at a comedy camp for underprivileged kids and agreed to, after these people came forward to him, trying to develop, a relationship and get money. That's how it happened.
You get money from George?
Exactly, to see if he would help them. That he's testified that he did, in fact, once help the accuser, this kid's brother, and a sister, because that's ostensibly what this family did. That's part of the allegation that they, were money grubbers.
No good deed goes unpunished once again.
There you go.
It is coming up on 7 after the hour. Contessa?
A surprising development in last week's school shooting on a Minnesota Indian reservation. Louis Jordan, a son of the tribal chairman, has been arrested in connection with the deadly shooting spree, and several other youths are now being questioned about that case. 9 people were killed.
You've got to have some energy here. This is ridiculous.
It's a new day with you back in the studio.
Oh, I know.
It takes a little while to get accustomed to the big man sitting in the chair.
Okay.
9 people were killed before the suspected shooter, Jeff Weiss, killed himself. Now, originally, authorities said the gunman had acted alone, and meanwhile, services were held yesterday for 62-year-old English teacher Neva Rogers. 3 other funerals were also held, including one for Jeff Weiss, that suspected gunman. Police in New Mexico are trying to find out why a man was tied by his ankles to the back of a pickup truck and then dragged more than a mile Sunday morning. The 32-year-old man remains in critical condition at an Albuquerque hospital. Officials found the victim in a parking lot Sunday after they received a report of an injured man. So far, no motives, no arrests have been made. Just a weird story.
And a report detailing an investigation of alleged corruption in the UN's Oil for Food program is set for release today, as you were discussing with Andrea Mitchell earlier, Iman. Investigation stems from a conflict of interest charge in the awarding of a UN Oil for Food contract to a Swiss company that employed the son of UN Secretary General Kofi Annan, Kojo Annan.
Kokomo.
Not Kokomo, Kojo.
Oh, yeah, well, whatever.
NBC News has learned the commission finds that Annan's son Kojo misled his father and deliberately disguised payments he received. The commission, though, clears the Secretary General himself of any personal wrongdoing, says the guy's not corrupt, but they do criticize him. Iraqi Prime Minister Iyad Alawi reportedly walked out of a meeting of Iraq's parliament this morning after angry scenes erupted. Assembly members began berating Shiite and Kurdish leaders for failing to agree on a parliament speaker. The session was delayed nearly 3 hours amid intense negotiations. Shiite, Kurdish, and Sunni reps had been trying to come up with a name for the Sunni Arab candidate that legislators promised would be announced today.
What's the matter, Carlin? You look all bummed out.
I keep thinking, why couldn't you have been the New Mexico guy dragged by the truck?
You are such a jerk.
I mean, I heard New Mexico guy dragged by a truck. I looked at you this morning. I got a little hopeful, and I realized it wasn't you.
You are such a fat jerk. The Imus Morning Business Report, sponsored by the New York Stock Exchange. Carlin's coming up a little later with sports, sponsored by Peerless Boilers, America's best boiler. This week at the New York Stock Exchange, People's Energy Corporation Chairman, President, and CEO Thomas Patrick will go ring the Wednesday closing bell to celebrate the company's 150th anniversary in incorporation. People's Energy Corporation, headquartered in Chicago, Illinois, trades under the ticker symbol PGL. Thursday, the opening bell will be rung by J.P. Morgan Chase Card Services Chairman William Campbell, joined by 2004 year-end sales program winners to celebrate outstanding employees of its national sales program. J.P. Morgan Chase & Company, the parent company of J.P. Morgan Chase Card Services, trades under the ticker symbol JPM. Yesterday, the Dow Jones Industrial Average up 43 points to 10,486. We're going to do Alberto Gonzalez here, Lou. The NASDAQ Composite Index down, no, it wasn't down. It was up a point, but still under 2,000. And the New York Stock Exchange Composite closed up 3 points to 71.32. Developer Donald Trump reportedly will pay. Are you making noise over there?
I have this image in my mind if they tried to drag Carlin behind them. They'd have to stop for gas at a half mile into it.
You'd have to drag him with a D9 Caterpillar.
They'd rip his legs off before they would drag that torso anywhere.
Well, I mean, that's just an ugly image.
That was the image I had in my head.
Anyway,
my apologies.
Trump reportedly will pay $17.5 million to some stockholders who've spoken out, claiming they were losing money because of Trump's bankruptcy reorganization.
Load out!
Oh, come on here.
Anybody got any wire cables?
They'd have to follow the torso of the truck that said wide load ahead.
You know how bad the mud was at the ranch? This time we have a Hummer that's an ambulance, so we turned it into an ambulance?
Yes.
We got it stuck in the mud.
No, you didn't.
Oh, yeah, we did. Had to have, speaking of like the Caterpillar, we have a D5 there, I think it is.
Right.
Had to get a D5 Caterpillar to pull it out.
To pull the Hummer out?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Oh, you know the Hummer people are just groaning right now. They
Well,
don't
no,
wanna
it's not
hear
their
that.
fault. No, I mean, well, first of all, it has more weight than an ordinary Hummer would have because we put all that medical stuff in it.
Doesn't that help, though? Having more weight helps it get out of the mud?
Contessa, you're not helping here.
Hello, this is AG, the AG, Attorney General Alberto Gonzalez. And just to show you I'm on the case, I am all over this Imus Ranch scam. I'm launching a full investigation. And by the time I'm done with this guy, he gonna wish he was a Gitmo detainee with a pair of jumper cables attached to his cojones. And I'm not talking about Imus here. I'm talking about this Jason Blair wannabe, Robert Frank, who wrote this Rivera Gate piece in that my weekly reader rag, the Wall Street Journal. Don't get me wrong. There are plenty of people who hate the I-Man. And I could subpoena them all to testify to that fact. I just don't know if Yankee Stadium is available as a holding tank. But to suggest that Imus has spent the past 7 years of his life raising money and screaming at people on the phone just to finance a vacation home, that's obviously somebody who has an axe to grind with him. And believe me, there's no shortage of folks who do, and who would like to see that axe buried somewhere between his shoulder blades. Most of them staff and or family members. But none of them think that he's trying to scam kids with cancer to pay the rent for some Southwestern timeshare when he gotta wear an oxygen tank just so he can shovel horse all day before hunkering down to a hearty meal of tofu burgers and steamed kale. He don't need no stinking ranch. This pendejo can go on vacation anywhere in the world. He just did London on $25,000 a day. So I wonder why this story should break now. Who's calling Robert Frank, providing misleading information about the ranch, causing the incessant, obsessive, on-air rants of the I-Man? Somebody who might have been a recent target himself, looking to slip off the I-Man radar? Like, oh, I don't know, Pat O'Brien, maybe? I didn't think they allowed you to use the phones in rehab. Although, come to think of it, keeping Pat O'Brien off the phone ain't such a bad idea anyway.
You are so hot. We haven't heard from O'Brien, have we, Bernie?
Well, not officially.
Oh, okay. Something you can tell me out there?
Yeah, of course. Plenty of stuff.
Why are we discussing this on the air, I wonder?
Look in the mirror.
Hey, by the way, here's what the Wall Street Journal is going to have to explain, and I'm not going to drop it until they do. Why this story, about two petty issues, when they knew ahead of time that the inquiry there was nothing to it. In fact, somebody at the Attorney General's office, Governor Spitzer, no, not Governor. Did I say Governor Spitzer?
Yes, you did.
I can't believe I said that.
Yeah, you said that.
How did I slip and say that? Somebody at Governor Spitzer's office suggested that it was BS. They went ahead and put this thing on the front page of the newspaper, and then, and I just, my concern is that it affects my ability to raise money, and people think I'm a prick, but they trust me, so.
Right.
I'm absolutely not going to put up with this stuff. Well, I'm also not going to go on about it all morning. It's a quarter after the hour. Boy, you look so glum, Carlin. I don't get this.
I'm not glum.
Well, earlier this morning, you actually challenged me.
Well, because I'm a kind of ease into my day kind of guy, and
I think I actually probably could whip you.
Are you high?
No, I just actually think I could.
Wake up.
You wake up.
Every year is a new challenge, and that brings out the best in everyone in the company, because in order to continue to find play...
I have a triple espresso. I don't know why it doesn't affect me that much. It perks me up a little bit, but...
It doesn't make you set your nerves on edge?
No, I'm good. I drink one and go to sleep, so...
Really?
Yeah, well, I took so much speed in the early days.
Well, of course, you know exactly what you're doing.
The new chef we had at the ranch, Dennis Benjamin, used to own this sad cafe in Ribeiro. Was just... I don't know if he's going to do it for the summer. We're going to... Well, you're going to do it for the summer because we're going to, I don't know, we're just going to try to persuade him to.
Right.
But I did notice that he got, we just tried him out for this spring session because we needed somebody. Mm-hmm. And, but he did get emotionally involved with these kids, which is you can do because you live in a house with them,
Sure.
You're there with them all day.
Difficult not to, I imagine.
But he was great. Best one we've ever had.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
he lives there. He lives there in Ribeiro. That's a positive. So it's like going somewhere,
Yeah.
Not some fruit from Santa Fe or from somewhere else. It's 23 after the hour. Sports sponsored by Peerless Boilers, America's best boiler. And he spent most of the money with his hand in his mouth, and then of course he jumped ugly with me.
Right.
And which is an ugly experience earlier this morning.
You want to find out where else my hand can go?
Don't threaten me, you big moose. Anyway, well, there's not much going on. When are the Final Four games, by the way, for the men's?
On Saturday, 6:07, the Illinois-Louisville game is the early game, and then later on, about 8:45, North Carolina and Michigan State.
What do we like in these games?
Illinois is going to win the whole thing.
Oh, they are?
Absolutely. Think about Illinois for a second, okay?
I had them losing to Texas in the second round in my pool.
Way to come up with that one, Nostradamus.
Hey, what were you going to say?
I was going to say that Illinois had to go to Indianapolis, first of all, which is not far from home.
Sure.
Then they go to Chicago. And then this weekend, St. Louis. Oh. So it's like they didn't even go on the road.
Look at that.
Like you playing at the ranch.
That's just great. Louisville has no chance.
Why are you mocking the continent when you want to know this information?
I don't know.
If you want to throw down I-Punk, bring it any time.
I-Punk? Oh, now I really am offended. That's Mr. I-Punk to you, pal. really tickled with yourself, aren't you?
No, I'm all thrown off now. I mean, you completely messed up my whole morning.
Oh, darn. You have nothing else for us?
You want to talk about the ladies? It's all about the ladies.
Well, that's fine.
Half of them are going to the Final Four. LSU and Baylor advanced last night. That was a little promo that they've been running on ESPN for the women's Final Four.
Do me a favor and don't incorporate any production values in your reports unless you clear it with someone
You know
like
what?
me.
That's a fair point because it's
Okay.
worked out pretty well for you.
Yeah.
That's a fair point. I shouldn't have done that.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
Don't feel bad. I don't want you to don't feel bad. I'm not.
Oh, now look at him. Now he's
No,
devastated.
come on here. I mean, I just.
He's a
it's no-
sensitive guy.
Come
Come
on,
on.
not a big
guy feeling bad.
Believe
Look
me,
at
it's
that.
not a big deal.
That's sports. I'm El Continental.
45 after the hour. Article next.
You really got me now. You got me so I don't know what I'm doing. Girl, you really got me now. You got me so I get some bad night. Girl, you really got me now. You got me so I don't know where I'm going. Oh yeah, you really got me now. You got me so I get some bad night. You really got me. Oh, you really got me. Oh, you really got me. Imus in the morning.
So we decided to take a vacation.
He wanted to go to his mother's.
We went to the Bahamas. So
Here's the Wall Street Journal. All the characters we elect to assassinate people. The human anatomy aspect of my thoughts today. Does the term stepping on your hold any meaning for you? I think it does for the good folks over there at the aforementioned journal, especially reporter Robert Frank, whose must be looking like a sausage that came out on the wrong end of a fist fight with a roofing nailer right about now. Robert Frank, I feel certain, is a decent enough guy, just not much of a journalist, or at least in the tradition of journalists who at least nod now and again in the direction of fairness and honesty. No, Mr. Frank, if we may judge from his Imus Ranch hatchet job, heard about that one? Anyway, using that as our yardstick, I think he's shown himself to be operating more in the tradition of Jason Blair, Janet Cook, that guy who wrote the Hitler Diaries, the novelist Saddam Hussein, and Dan Rather. Since surely you've heard the details by now, here's the lesson we can draw from this, I think. When writing a hatchet job, choose your target carefully. Maybe do even a little bit of legwork to see if any of your assertions are going to be sustainable. Mr. Frank's flawed approach neglected both those areas, I'm afraid. The unsustainable assertions, bad, were made against Don Imus, real bad. And the ranch he and his wife run for kids with cancer. Ouch. Better have your ducks in a pretty tidy row to take on that one. Regrettably, Mr. Frank, the Wall Street Journal, et al., isn't that the way they put it in a legal document, et al.? Anyway, their ducks were not just misaligned. The things weren't even ducks. Had they been, they'd pretty much be dead ducks now. Or yes, just over the hill, the boys, the David boys. Ouch again. Some papers are a little yappier than others. Some just go wide of the mark now and again. The Imus Ranch piece was a lunar shot. Back to anatomy for just a moment. If not his brains, you gotta admire Mr. Frank's cojones, I suppose, as Mr. Big Mouth will be able to do himself before long, sitting there in a jar on his windowsill. You know, as I think about it, it may not be such a bad thing to have a big mouth, Mr. Frank, when you've just bitten off more than you can chew. Sad.
Hey, Imus in the morning.
Oh, cheer the cold now. Cold. Winter can be extremely confining, especially if you live to ride. Fortunately, your Harley-Davidson dealer.
Or rock and roll.
How'd you receive this honor?
I received this honor because they couldn't get any other station to do it. Except I actually like this from Bruce Springsteen. It's called Devils and Dust. Well, I was going to sing to you now, baby. All right, Bruce.
I got my finger on the trigger,
Yeah.
but I don't know who to trust.
Huh?
When I look into your eyes, there's just devils and dust.
hog, baby.
Devils in dust.
Dirty.
I got God on my side. I'm just trying to survive.
Just trying to make it.
What if what you do to survive kills the things you love? Fear's a powerful thing.
How about the boogeyman?
Can turn your heart black, you can trust.
Make you icky, baby.
It'll take a God-filled soul. Feel the devil's in dust.
Devil dust.
Well, I dreamed of you last night.
Yeah, you were naked.
In a field of blood and stone.
Wait a minute.
Well, the blood began to dry.
Come on here.
The smell began to rise.
You're stinking, baby.
Well, I dreamed of you last night,
So
in a field of mud and bone. Your blood began to dry.
Eric,
The smell began to rise.
stinking, baby.
God on our side. We're just trying to survive. What is what you do to survive? Kill the things you love. There's a powerful flame.
Little Chucky's on the bed.
It'll turn your heart black, you can trust. It'll take your God-filled soul. Fill it with devils and take your God-filled soul.
Walk on both of them.
Fill it with devils and
That ball's honking on both of them. That ball thing. All right, a little taste now of Bruce Springsteen and Devil's Dust. I select the record. It's horrible?
Horrible record. Good.
That's not a horrible record. Do you like it, Lou?
Yeah, I don't think he had what you were doing in mind, I don't think. Somebody talked during the whole thing.
What?
You stinking baby. I don't
You ruined it. You were naked, baby. I was dreaming of you.
I think that was the last thing on Bruce's mind when he was writing the song.
Well, no,
Got
but
the
I mean...
man in my mind. How's he gonna work it? World premiere. He's gonna be talking in the back.
Closet,
Yeah, what a great avenue for him to premiere the record on here.
What an appeal my core audience.
Well, it's unlikely that Bruce Springsteen is going to come appear on the program, so...
I don't think Dan Ingram would be doing that, actually. Yeah. Hey, baby, you be stinking, baby.
Nah, another bunch. Billy Preston in the music. Next minute, silly hour here on the Imus Morning program on the radio all over the country on MSNBC. Tomorrow, the Blind Boys of Alabama
all right.
will be on.
Great.
Same about the Lord.
Yep.
And a week from Friday, a brand new show here at MSNBC starring Bo Dietl.
Holy cow. No kidding.
And Lisa Daniels, who does some of the news here, and she's very good. The girl's also a Harvard lawyer, so
Yep.
it'll be Lisa Daniels and Bo Dietl at 4 p.m. Eastern Time on MSNBC.
No kidding.
A week from Friday. That's a good idea, isn't it?
Honest to God.
She's good and he's great. Well, she may be great, who knows. But that's a good idea.
Yeah, I...
Yeah, well, she is pretty good.
Her mouth was agape a couple of times when they hosted that special program 2 Saturdays ago at some of the Bo-isms.
Yeah, but that's what'll make it good.
Yeah, exactly.
Beauty and the Beast, baby. Beauty and the
Yeah.
Beast.
Yep.
See some of that prestitation, yeah.
Some of the Bobonics that was...
Why don't you butt out, White Lord?
Oh, you know what? It's just not necessary.
When it's time to talk about Ricky Henderson or
Good contemporary reference.
Or fried ham.
yeah, or something, or a burger, you know, Barry Bonds or somebody. You shut up, Lou, you little jerk.
The Wally Pip.
Hey, by the way, when we get over there, turn into Warner Wolf, honey. Hey, when I get over there today, Lou, I gotta have that little feet thing stick on my iPod, okay?
Got a little feet.
Yeah, but you forgot to. Well, you played the bumper.
You know, yesterday everybody was sitting in your lap yesterday in the office. You couldn't even get near you.
I understand that.
Francesa, especially how you.
Oh,
fit
my
him.
God. Francesa was flowing out of that chair. He's huger than ever.
I mean, what do you want? Somebody was wiping gum off his ass yesterday. What do you expect? Everybody's
That'll be
all
fine.
over
It would have been Mike,
We didn't-
too.
We didn't need to bring that up. Better than having to wipe a cheeseburger off your chin.
Whoa.
Imus in the morning. Super would like to invite you to take a trip to your local dealer.
For the most mind-blowing sales event of the year.
Talk to Lou and Bernard, Chris Carlin on the air.
No problem. Or to hear our own program coming from.
I'm cool with that.
Oh, no, we can hear you now.
Yeah,
you can?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Chief?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
All right.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Something just happened.
All right, well,
That's
good to be back.
We are back.
The Lord works in strange and wondrous ways.
Amen.
The Dick James freakout worked.
Yeah. So, well, is your kid in the Boy Scouts, Bernie?
No, he's not. No. But you can't indict a whole. Most of those scout leaders are good guys, but and they've opted to keep the gays out. I guess several filtered through, but for the most part, they're good men. My son just doesn't happen to be into getting into sleeping bags, like you said.
Yeah.
With
Learning to tie knots and
somebody else's dad.
I wouldn't want to indict the whole.
No, but you can't do that. Come on, that's
I'm
wrong.
not.
As opposed to like cowboys maybe taking kids camping.
Well, cowboys. I don't know any cowboys that take kids camping.
Well, teach them how to tie knots in rodeo type arenas and things like that.
Yeah, but we have women there, like Mrs. Imus and child life specialists and that kind of thing. So.
Okay, whatever gets you through the night.
You are such a fat creep. You can't have enough health problems to suit me.
Oh, now,
no, that's not.
Well,
wow.
He just censored himself. He was trying to not
No,
say
I really
die.
did.
Not say die. You can't die. You know what he wanted to say.
Well, guess what? I've got enough anyway to begin with.
I actually don't mean that. In fact, I don't mean it. I do. I want something to happen to you, but I don't know what it is. I guess maybe get overcharged for lunch, which would, bankrupt you.
Better.
Yeah.
To get your hand stuck in the vending machine when you get your change out.
Exactly.
Overnight.
In fact, here's a preview of what's coming up with road flares and sports, sponsored by Peerless Boilers, America's best boiler.
More steroids, this time in football. We'll talk a little bit about the NCAA tournament and an Arizona State running back indicted for murder, charged with murder earlier this week.
Wow. Who'd he murder?
Lauren Wade is a running back on the team, and he murdered a former teammate who apparently might have been messing around with his girlfriend.
Huh?
Not a good scene.
No, really, Chris? You think?
Welcome to Court TV.
This is all I try to do is enlighten.
Man. Anything else going on, Charles?
New York City health officials say they have found several more patients, in a not unrelated item, I guess, who are infected with this new rare strain of HIV that is highly resistant, if not entirely resistant, to all known treatments. They just can't address it. The announcement comes about a month after officials reported the first case involving a man who used illegal drugs and had unprotected sex with dozens of male partners. According to a New York Times report, health workers have been contacting this guy's sex partners now and are checking HIV laboratories for reports of other patients with possibly related strains of the new highly drug-resistant HIV strain.
12 minutes after the hour here on the Imus in the Morning program on the radio all over the country, syndicated by Westwood One Entertainment.
Here now on the Imus in the Morning program, the future Queen of England, Camilla Parker Bowles.
Hello! I know there's a lot of excitement going on about what you Americans call the Final Four. I'm just not sure what that phrase means. Does it refer to the last days of that poor Terry Schiavo's life? The years until Michael Jackson's boyfriends become of legal age? Or is the Final Four the official designation for the last remaining viewers still watching MSNBC? Of course, that's not it. That would mean they doubled their numbers overnight. I'm told the Final Four is about basketball. I think it's curious how you Americans get so aflutter over your sporting events. Quite a bit of fuss over what you call pitchers and catchers, which, although I understand has something to do with the spring training of your American baseball teams, sounds suspiciously like a speed dating service for homosexuals. Quite a bit of interest over these basketball championships of the NCAA, an organization of college teams, I believe, different from the NBA, which, in comparison to the NCAA, resembles more a meeting of the NAACP. What happens to all these white basketball players, like that dreamy Andrew Bogut from Utah, or that Tar Heel Wes Miller from North Carolina? Their respective teammates, Jermaine Calvin and Rayshon Terry, will no doubt go on to sign multi-million-dollar professional contracts, while I'm afraid Messrs. Miller and Bogut will be left to lead lives of quiet desperation as insurance agents or car salesmen, getting drunk on weekends while coaching pee-wee hockey. Pity. It's so interesting what you Americans concern yourselves with, like this Robert Frank of the Wall Street Journal, writing a woefully unresearched and dismally biased diatribe against the Imus Ranch, alleging that the facility was used by the Imus family for personal use when it was built with charitable donations from the public. Well, of course, that's just a preposterous allegation and has been disproven, although that part of the story didn't receive quite the same kind of attention from the media. But the whole thing's just ridiculous. Why, in England, it's not uncommon for there to be a huge, beautiful facility built with what could be considered public contributions to be used exclusively by one family for their private use. We call them taxes and Buckingham Palace.
Quarter after the hour here in the Imus-March program. Speaking of the Queen.
Walks further down the street, pull way down low. Ain't no sound but the sound of speed. Machine guns ready to go. Are you ready? Hey, are you ready for this? Are you hanging on the edge of your seat? Out of the subway, the bullets rip. To the sound of the beat, yeah. Another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust. And another one gone, and another one gone. Another one bites the dust, yeah. Hey, gonna get you too. Another one bites the dust. I'm in the morning.
Whether it's fair or not, people judge you by the word you use.
Here in New York City in just a matter of seconds. And it's 21 after the hour wherever you are. Tracy Burgess, of course, our news anchor, editor, traffic babe, all that.
Good morning, Mr. Travis.
How you doing, baby?
Hey,
Have you ever actually, are you a Catholic?
no, I'm not. I'm a heathenist Protestant.
Oh, because you said, guess you were just kidding around when you said you had been to confession with Father Tom Hartman, right?
Well, I had conversations with the man, and I've
Oh, you have?
bent his ear for him many a beers and things like that. Yeah, we hung out.
What did you used to call Father Tom?
Father, what a waste. Oh, my God.
Oh.
I tell you, my girlfriends and I would just like look at him and say, come on, alone in the confessional, let's go.
You are such a pig.
Read my lips, please.
You're a horrid human being, Tracy.
You gotta love the fact that she's a dirty, dirty girl.
He was, let me tell you, he is still a very good-looking man, but he was smoking hot. And it was just, it was like,
Well,
change the panties time. I swear.
oh, change what?
Oh, my God.
Change your panties?
No,
What's wrong with you?
No, pansies, the plantings outside.
Wow. Oh, good thing you're in that studio where it's already filthy. 22 after the hour here on the Imus-March program. In the event you missed my conversation with Governor Bill Richardson of New Mexico, I'll be coming up here, and it was on about 2.5 hours ago. I'll be on here again in a few minutes because, as I alluded to earlier, something happened. Barnacle called me yesterday from Boston and said that his wife's the head of some big banking chain up there in New England, Boston. And he had said that he ran into some big mutual fund guy at some basketball game or something. And the guy said, hey, I understand your buddy got some scam going on out there at the ranch. And
Here we go.
which is it's a net result of getting this vicious Hansett job that meets the threshold, by the way, of willful disregard for the truth and facts. When they, that's why I'm not going to drop it. Barnacle asked again, well, did you read the story? So, not really, just the headlines in that first paragraph. And Robert Frank, who is a snubbing little punk, went out of his way, by the way, at the behest of other people at the Wall Street Journal. I'll let them off the hook.
Yeah.
To take basically a story where there was a routine inquiry by the New York Attorney General's office, Elliot Spitzer's office, about the ranch. And fundamentally routine questions. And a couple were about whether we have made any personal use of the ranch, which is preposterous. And when we demonstrate it, obviously we don't, never have, nor would. And they knew that this inquiry was just that and that there was nothing to it. And it was dropped the same day the Journal published their story. And I spoke with Elliot Spitzer yesterday, and he said he was on skiing in Vermont, or not Vermont, Vail, Colorado. And he said everybody knew who called. We told them. It's just routine, and that we were wrapping it up. I mean,
Essentially a non-story wound up on the front page of the Wall Street Journal.
With no findings of impropriety. Those were the questions. And did we spend too much per kid? Well, it's an enormously expensive operation. For example, the child life specialists who come from Hackensack University are paid at the ranch because they live in the main, that was the whole design. The two child life specialists, me, Deirdre, and Wyatt, all live in the main ranch house with the kids. That's how we founded the ranch. If y'all remember, well, you probably don't, but when I announced the idea that we'd come up with, that's what I said it was. That's what we did. So they're paid 24/7. Did you know that? Yep. I just found out yesterday. I didn't know that. How'd you know it?
They're paid what?
24/7. They're on duty all the time. Well, so are we.
Well, I wouldn't anticipate that they would not be on call at least all the time.
And we are there. There's never been a kid at that ranch that we weren't there. I mean, we're the counselors.
Right.
We have the cowboys and the ranch hands, housekeepers, a couple other people. But I mean, that's the way it's run. There's not a day goes by I'm not on the phone with them. I mean, every requisition for me that Deirdre signs, she signs most of them, or I do. I mean, you can't buy a pencil there without us signing off on it. Do you think I devoted 7 or 8 years of my life to running some scam and then to have the Wall Street Journal? I mean, that's a vicious hatchet job, and why? What would be the point? If those are the two questions, do we spend too much per kid? And the estimation, I mean, that's a fair point that you can argue. I mean, I got a note from Jack Valenti. Of course, they misrepresented. They used an erroneous figure that they knew that was malicious. To suggest in a headline we spent $2.6 million when they know we didn't spend that. You couldn't. $800,000 of it was depreciation allowance that you're required to take as a public foundation. But they based their figures on that figure. Mm-hmm. And a financial publication like the Wall Street Journal would obviously know better than that. So that was a willful disregard for the fact and malicious. And I'm not going to drop it. Now we have questions from other states, similar questions. We answer them all the time. And if they get, like the New Mexico Attorney General, they should ask those questions. We're in their state. That's a great officer. I don't have any problem with that. I'd be happy to go down there and meet with them, or have them come to the ranch. We can't be any more transparent than that. We're not hiding behind lawyers. I mean, let the auditors and the accountants answer the initial questionnaires if they want. And if they ask further questions, I'm happy to answer them. I wrote the letter, and I, to the Attorney General of New York. I answered all the questions. Charles and I edited it. So my grammar be. So, I mean, I offered to go down there, so did Deirdre. We invited them to the ranch. I mean, I don't know what else I can do. I can't, to base it on Howard Stern's job is to make fun of me and everybody else. And I just have to confess, my wife doesn't think it's funny, but I do. I mean, it's just, for Stern to go railing about what a genius I am and coming up with this scam, and that we have 7 Steinway pianos out there. By the way, the one grand Steinway piano we do have there, they donated Steinway. Hello? I don't play the piano. The kids do. But, I mean, that's amusing. And, you'd be disappointed if you didn't do that. You're supposed to make fun of me. You could run back to private parts. I mean, I don't have any problem with that. But then to base a newspaper article or an inquiry or even an investigation on something Stern says is absurd.
This is our source, a Stern rant.
Stern is
excuse me.
And some dirtbag chef I fired.
Baba Booey.
I mean, By the way, the chef's about to get his. What? That's not going to be pleasant. Well, his shut up. That's what I would do.
Oh, that fella.
I would shut up and just go and live your life, because you think Chris Matthews plays hardball. Anyway, let's do this, then we'll talk to the governor of New Mexico. Big Al Anderson wrote this song. He's out there, Santa Fe.
Very closely.
Hey, let me explain something to you, tub butt. Why don't you just hang around the station until I get over there around 10:45, and I can administer a big time ass whooping to you.
I live in Astoria, so you can just have Brant swing by if he could find a place.
Yeah, well, well, of course you won't be hiding under the bed, that's for sure, will you?
let me explain something to you.
Yeah.
At about 10 o'clock, you are in the rear-view mirror until the alarm goes off at 5 a.m. tomorrow.
That is really an ugly, hurtful thing to say to me.
But completely accurate, nonetheless.
An older senior citizen, by the way, I would point out. And someone who you should respect, right, Charles?
I don't think I'd be referring anything to rear view.
Yeah, well, that's
and by the way,
you're carrying around.
Do you know what senior citizens do?
No.
Retire. That's what they do.
Read the memo.
Yeah. Well, that's fine with me. All right, what's going on, baby?
Well, we mentioned it earlier. There's a steroid story in the NFL now. 60 Minutes, too, is going to report on it tonight that 3 of the Carolina Panthers from a year ago had steroid prescriptions filled within 2 weeks of the Super Bowl. One of them was the punter, Todd Sauerbrunn, which I don't get at all, but Todd Stussy and Jeff Mitchell, who are both offensive linemen, had them filled by Dr. James Short, who is currently under a DEA probe. And earlier, we mentioned that Arizona State running back Lauren Wade is charged with the murder of a former teammate, 25-year-old Brandon Faulkner, outside a Scottsdale nightclub. Apparently how it went down is that Wade saw his girlfriend talking to Faulkner, who was in his car at the time, and the girl was standing outside, got all ticked off, took out a gun. There were some undercover policemen working security at the club, and they arrested him on the spot. 1 gunshot to the head. Terrible, terrible story in Arizona.
I guess he ain't down with OPP.
Apparently not.
But something.
And the women's NCAA tournament.
That was not necessary, Puzzhead.
You down with OPP?
Yeah, you know me.
You idiots. Come on, the guy got murdered.
You don't mess with OPP, yo. That's what I'm saying.
That's what the song's about.
I understand that.
Listen up.
Jerks.
Ring the bell.
You're unbelievable, all of you.
Oh, brother.
This is disgraceful.
Yo, that's my hoe, yo.
Yeah, wait, no.
No, man.
Understand all that, but I mean that.
I ain't even trying to hear that, man. I ain't even
just
trying.
Had a word with him. Just say, hey, look.
Yo, drop it like it's hot.
Well, it's not good. So, what else going on?
And then finally, the women's Final Four is set. LSU,
great.
Baylor, Tennessee, and Michigan State.
Nobody can beat Tennessee.
Oh, please stop.
What?
Please.
Do me a favor. Break it down for me.
Oh, well, I like the perimeter shoot. I can't even say it. I like the perimeter shooting
On the outside.
They get their big people involved early.
Yeah.
Hey, look, I said it before. That perimeter shooting's a bad job.
Man, did you ever take some chrome to your dome?
Mike,
Boy,
Pena
that's
is not going to lose, Mike.
Mike, are you down with OPP or what?
Coming up on 7 minutes of the hour. Boy, what a disgrace yesterday was. Bernard in the office with Mike Francesa. And Bernard, you should have seen him. I mean, he was almost weeping.
I can't believe that.
I can't believe
I
that's got to be a
Thank you, Charles. The take that you assume on this whole Francesa thing, he's been exposed as covering up and rolling over for Bobby Knight. And I sat there and we talked about it. I mean, I didn't call him a gutless pussy to his face.
No.
But we called him on the whole thing. He tried to talk his way out of it. And we played the tape this morning. He clearly covered up for Bobby Knight.
Let me hear the tape again.
Did not let Christopher Russo do his job.
Hear the tape again.
Bob,
Right.
is it sweeter you in a Sweet 16 in Indiana having struggled so much this year?
Stupid
that
question.
doesn't make any difference to me. I mean, whatever problems they have are their problems. I could care less about that.
Okay.
What about the other game? I know, you're going to do a little work.
Oh, now, here's what happened, is Francesa was so mortified and humiliated and embarrassed at that what a stupid
No,
question.
he was warming up. He was leading into he was a little afraid, and he was warming up into his next question. He was going to drop the bomb in sentence number 2.
We'll never know. Or that. Yeah, or that. Well, it did sound like Mike jumped on him, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
But it could have been a rescue
And
mission.
Mike said yesterday, listen, we didn't want him to hang up on us and call us a-holes like he did once before.
Yeah, why not?
In other words, Mike accepted conditions. We're not going to ask him tough questions. But that's what he said in the office yesterday. That's how he explained it. I wasn't sitting there sucking my thumb. Francesa was, obviously dropped the ball, and he's a big fat pussy.
Yeah, but you didn't say that to him yesterday.
I didn't call him a big fat pussy, but we called him
Well, why
on
didn't
the
you
whole
call-
episode.
Well, he'll be in today.
I don't want to hurt his feelings, but
Great job on that interview, Mike.
Yeah.
and he defended himself. But he was also.
I thought he defended himself admirably.
They do not accept conditions ever.
And he was PO'd at Fat Carl in there for not bringing up the fact that they
And
did.
he's right to be.
Here's today. Great job on that interview, Mike. And by the way, have you lost weight?
Hey, have you heard from George Carlin, by the way, Bernie?
I have not heard from him, but as you may know, he's out.
Yeah.
He graduated today.
Well, he said he left a message with Richard Johnson at page 6.
Yeah. Well, I haven't checked my voicemail today.
Okay. We need to hear from George, see how he's doing.
Yeah.
Linda Stassi attacking Pat O'Brien this morning. Then Pat has to go when
Taking him out.
just the opposite is true.
Yeah.
Pat now has revealed himself to be a scummy freak like the folks he's reporting on, and who better to cover the to cover the machinations of the folks in Hollywood.
And just because nobody's leaving Linda Stassi messages like that,
Yeah.
no reason to get all bitter and take it out on Pat.
Yeah, that was suggesting it looks like Ned Flanders from The Simpsons.
Right, well, look at her. She looks like Bella Abzug's, sister. I mean, stay off TV and leave Pat alone.
The Blind Boys of Alabama sing about the Lord tomorrow.
How would you like to give up tobacco and nicotine?
It's not pretty. Premieres at 9/8 Central, Monday, April 4th, only on Lifetime.
You wouldn't need instant information if life moved at a slow pace. But life moves at the speed of light, and you've got to keep up. There is a way to stay on top of your credit report instantly online. Get your free credit report at freecreditreport.com. Join the millions who have already logged on.
I go online, and in seconds, I get my credit report.
Staying on top of my credit helped me get the best deal on my refi.
Why wait when you can instantly see your credit report online? Free.
Stay on top of your credit at freecreditreport.com.
UHY LLP, certified public accountants helping mid-sized public companies with Sarbanes-Oxley compliance. UHY-US.com.
Afternoon, everybody. How are you today? The Mike and the Mad Dog radio program. Good to have you aboard on a Wednesday in New York, 30th day of March, and it finally feels like spring in the year 2005. Ron Calusa, today is Kazari. Mike and Chris will take it through the afternoon hours. Yes Network, and of course, ROW in Albany, the great 590 joins us at 718-937-6666 here on Sports Radio 66. As we chat to you about what's happening, we sort of got a potpourri today, do a little baseball, a little college basketball. Other issues on the menu, we got obviously stadium. We got this Elliot Pellman scenario going on right now at the New York Times. With his resume, he's sort of the baseball.
I say without getting sued. He looks unsavory and he's fat. And fat doctors you can't trust.
Oh, I trust him implicitly.
Well, why would you take any advice from a fat pig who has no discipline himself and is as hideously unhealthy himself? Well, now I know you're fat, but you're the patient.
You know what? I thought it was a little weird when, he recommended I get a hysterectomy, but...
What, Chris?
I was just going to say, I see a fat beating in your future, but whatever.
Where's a fat beating going to come from,
It
Tubbo?
might come from me and the guy sitting across the desk.
Well,
You keep bringing it.
Maybe if you'd hang around the radio station long enough instead of running out of there before I can get over there, we could work this thing out.
He's not running anywhere.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
That's what it is. Oh, Imus is coming, and all of a sudden there's a giant Carlin-shaped hole in the door.
21 after the hour. Here after the hour on the Imus Morning program. Charles, do you have any more news of any kind?
Actually, man, there are some other things going on.
What would they be?
Yes, indeed. Stuff such as, let me re-grab the news here. The Supreme Court ruling that workers over 40 are able to sue their employers for treating them worse than their younger counterparts.
They don't even have to be able to prove age discrimination, right?
That's exactly right.
But it doesn't mean that they'll be any more successful than they are now. About a third of these suits are litigated that are in favor of the plaintiff in these particular cases. So
High Court said...
May not be as big a deal as everyone's trying to make it out to be.
Said yesterday that the 1967 federal law that prohibits age discrimination applies in instances of preferential treatment, but they ruled against the specific case that brought up the matter. In that situation, some police officers and dispatchers over 40 were suing the city of Jackson, Mississippi.
See how fat that one cop was?
I saw that. Giving bigger raises to younger employees.
What?
We're on this fat kick now?
Well, no, but I mean...
Carlin, Pellman, the cop.
A cop shouldn't be fat, Shady. We'd have to chase the perpetrator down the street.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Just like that, it shouldn't be a woman either. What if he has to tackle a perpetrator?
Well, that's
right,
fine.
Same thing.
Well, no, it's not the same thing. There's
It's
some tough
exactly
days
the
around.
same thing.
What?
It's exactly the same thing.
Well, but in your misogynistic mind,
No,
yeah,
but-
probably. So,
Don't they
and obviously Carol's still out of town. Charles continues.
Don't they carry guns?
What?
Do they carry guns?
Yeah, of course.
Plug somebody. Former Boy Scouts of America official facing 5 to 20 now after pleading guilty yesterday to receiving and distributing child pornography. Assistant U.S. Attorney
What?
Brett Helmer.
What? How's that funny, Rob?
How's that funny?
Just that guy in short pants sitting around a campfire, roasting marshmallows.
Yeah, that's my whole theory about this. I mean, Bernard said I shouldn't indict the whole. I'm not, but I don't know. It's just.
They've gotten rid of, trying to get rid of the gays in the Boy Scouts, which makes sense. It's like having the I-Man run a liquor store. Makes no sense whatsoever. People fight it, though, tooth and nail, and this is what happens.
Well, this guy may not be gay. He may just be a pervert. I mean, you try to dismiss all of the homosexual.
No, it's man, boy. That's homosexual.
Boys.
I understand that.
Hello. Each other.
Pardon me?
So why would he be interested in that, where his tendencies at least not in that direction?
But make him a homosexual?
So I say, if
I don't know what you're asking.
Male on male.
Oh, yeah, I see. But the children, that makes him kind of sick, doesn't it?
That makes it even all the more. It makes it pervert cubed.
Because Bernard's been trying to whitewash the priest scandal in the Catholic Church for years, claiming they're all homosexuals as opposed to being perverts and pedophiles.
It's male on male.
Right, Charles?
Exactly.
It's mostly male on adolescent male.
Right.
Aren't you Catholic too, Rob?
Yes.
What are you suppressing?
What am I suppressing?
Yeah.
Suppressing the earth and
right now.
violence. Death will strangle you.
What's going to happen when you do, Tubbo? You can't even get out of your chair. How are you going to jump anywhere?
Man, how do you not have a homicide happening right now? Unbelievable. We got like 8 suspects right now. Yeah, Tubbo, what are you going to do? Yeah, Colin, what are you going to do, Fatso? You can't go anywhere.
Coming up on 25.
Oh, my God.
After the hour, Imus Food, sponsored by New York Hospital Queens, a member of the New York Presbyterian Healthcare System, with cutting-edge programs and leading specialists in all fields of medicine. Imus ran salsa already, number one selling salsa on the East Coast, better than all that other stuff. It's just there's no water in it. There's no artificial ingredients to keep it hot. It causes cancer and all that sort of thing. And 100% of the after-tax profits go to the Imus Cattle Ranch for Tips to Cancer, and we use a portion of that to build that big jacuzzi out there when we're on vacation. So
yeah,
we can all get in it, or Rob can get in it.
Just put my feet in it.
Imus Ranch salsa and coffee and salad dressing and chips available at most leading supermarkets. Look for the orange label with the turquoise buffalo. Get yourself some. It's good stuff. I mean, and kind of sorry now. I just decided to keep the money myself. So just another deal.
Wait, this is working out?
It's too late now, so the label's already printed. Anyway, you can call 1-888-284-IMUS or go to IMUSFansFoods.com. What else going on, Charles? Anything?
Key phase of the Michael Jackson trial will start on Monday. That is when jurors will hear this evidence about past molestation accusations against him. Prosecutors notified the judge yesterday they'll begin presenting such evidence earlier than anticipated. The evidence supposedly involves as many as 5 children, although just one of the alleged victims actually is going to testify himself. Psychologists interviewed the accuser in the current case testified yesterday it is rare for an adolescent male to make up molestation accusations against an adult outside the family. The trial's in recess today. And Indonesia's president has visited the main town on the earthquake-ravaged island of Nias. The island took the brunt of Monday's 8.7 magnitude quake. The government has lowered its estimate, meantime, of the number of people killed to 400 to 500. It had put that figure at 1,000. Very early reports that it could be up to 2,000. Now they're saying 400 to 500. A 13-year-old girl was pulled alive from a collapsed 5-story building.
Are you done?
Yeah.
One of the people I like a lot in the press, not many of them, is David Hinckley of the New York Daily News. But you know, these people, they can't get anything right. No. I mean, I don't know, but they all start out wanting to be Woodward and Bernstein, and then they wind up trying to make their facts fit their agenda.
Now what's happened?
Now, this is not an egregious violation of those kinds of ethics of David Hinckley, but it's another indication that they're just wrong. He writes in his radio column this morning that I said yesterday I played the new Bruce Springsteen song, Devils and Dust, because it's too dark for anyone else.
Too dark?
That's not what I said.
No.
I said the reason I played it is because no one else would play it. Or will play it. Ever. And we world premiered it. Why? Well, who else was gonna? They couldn't even buy time on Q104, which is apparently some rock and roll station here in New York.
What are cable customers saying about time?
From SMBC, but I'm just kind of guy sits around and watches those L.A. car chases, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Particularly when 110 miles an hour on 405 going to Bakersfield or wherever 405 goes.
The fleeing cars T-boned by a tractor-trailer truck coming across the intersection. Oh, yeah, they're great.
Creams an old lady with a shopping cart that...
Oh, man.
You know, arms and legs flying. La Cienega and Vine, or no, I guess they don't cross. They go the same way, but whatever. Anyway, what a mess. Jesus, Scott. All right. Let's yuck it up, gang.
Yeah.
Please welcome.
Shift into high gear now.
My kitty, my parents are dead.
We don't
to find a kitty.
We don't want to mock the child.
I'm not mocking the child. She's 5 years old.
Or the situation.
I got a 6-year-old.
In this horrible tragedy.
You are inhuman.
What?
You are inhuman.
How am I inhuman?
You just are.
How am I inhuman?
You just
Don't make a voice. Don't imitate her. That's silly.
Well,
that's not good.
That's what Charles was doing here off the air.
No,
You lying.
Well, don't put that on me.
Of course you were.
Well, at least it was off the air, had I been, for God's sake.
All right, please welcome to the Irish Voting Program the Attorney General of the United States, Alberto Gonzales. All right. Hey.
Boy, you are just king of the segues, aren't you? What a pleasure to be here on MSNBC, the cockpit of the Close Encounters mothership of cable networks. Jesus, this looks like a whorehouse on the Death Star. Who'd they get to decorate this place? The Queer Eyes for the looser news guys? What the hell am I doing here?
I'd rather be at a weenie roast with the national director of the Boy Scouts. I am here today because I am disgusted by this Wall Street Journal business.
Oh, yeah.
Not by the unconscionable allegations made by Robert Frank about your ranch for kids with cancer, but because the first person you called to address this for you was David Boyce. David Boyce. David Boyce is a pussy. You're on a first-name basis with the Attorney General of the United States, and you go for this overpriced matchbook cover ambulance chaser whose biggest claim to fame was making Bill Gates cry? What happened? You couldn't get Mark Garagos? Johnny Cochran was dead? David Boyce was the mouthpiece who helped contest the 2000 election. And boy, he really knocked that one out of the park, huh?
Well, he got screwed.
Do you want him to do for you what he did for Al Gore?
Well,
Al Gore was once the great white hope of the Democratic Party. Then he hires David Boyce. And now where is he? Someplace in Kentucky waiting tables at the Cracker Barrel. David Boyce will do for you what Clarence Darrow did for Leopold and Loeb. The National Law Journal called David Boyce the Michael Jordan of the courtroom, which would seem to be a perfect choice for the Latrell Sprewell of morning radio. But you could have El Chulo in your corner, I mean? AG, the AG, instead of some William Jennings Bryant wannabe in an off-the-rack suit from Macy's. He may got it the brains, but I got it the muscle. Sure, he can write a bunch of motions and writs and all that kind of legal red tape mumbo-jumbo, but I can arrange for these guys to get a prostate massage with a clam knife. What did you think would have more of an effect getting a retraction printed in the Wall Street Journal? Some 900-page report about damages to your reputation? Or the defendants receiving a little pepper spray to the nugget pouch? Your Honor, I object. Or how about I slammed your penis in a car door, you tabloid pendejo? I'm telling you, I mean, you and me, we the Cisco Kid and Pancho, riding our horses down Wall Street, guns blazing, taking on these maricons, the good, the bad, and the ugly style. The ranch is the good. I'm the bad. And I think we all know where that leaves you. Ole! Cisco, let's win!
The Attorney General of the United States. Fine Boys of Alabama coming up, and Trump's coming up. Chris Matthews. Not a bad program. We're going to get us a Peabody, but we're not going to get a Peabody for anything. What are you talking about? Turn your radio on.
Glasses or contacts?